Hello, Carla Hartley here. Today I am starting a new series on modern practice of law and its problems. I think that we're going to start with a discussion of how the modern practice of law has affected us uniquely and why we were uniquely able to capitalize and move on and serve our clients very well during the COVID pandemic and the subsequent shutdowns of so many offices. And I also want to discuss where I see the practice of law, the unique problems that we faced, and how to overcome those problems going forward, recognizing that I don't think that we are ever going to go back to where we were pre-COVID. Um, March 13th, 2020, at about 4:45 p.m., our firm was enjoying a tradition we have called the Final Friday 15, where we all kind of just gather in the conference room or the kitchen, hang out, make fun of each other, laugh, treat each other like human beings, and kind of connect as people. We have always done that. That's a long-standing tradition. And at 4:45, we got the call from the local courthouse that our appearances for the following Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday were not going to be going forward. They were going to be moved into Thursday, 4 points after that, and that we would be notified by the court when that would be occurring. We knew then that the world had changed, and I think we were a little bit ahead of the curve. I know we were a lot ahead of the curve of a lot of different firms, and I want to discuss why we were lucky and what we have learned in the past year. First of all, we had already been conditioned for remote work. That was something that we wanted to extend to our clients and to our staff for quite some time. It's hard as a family law attorney to just always be a 9 to 5 person. In fact, 9 to 5 has never existed in my life as an attorney. So very often when you're prepping for court the next day, you're going to be wanting to access the computer from your house the night before. You don't want to have to go all the way to the office. So we had arranged, and my staff here was so good at this and so ahead of the game. We had a couple of programs. One of them was Go to My PC, the other was Go to Meeting. And these had been in place for us on a very limited basis well before COVID. Go to My PC was just an absolutely essential tool that became far more than a mere luxury in the past year. So, Go to My PC, we chose that because rather than having people uploading stuff onto the cloud where we couldn't be sure of its security, or rather than having people taking flash drives, oh my God, flash drives, back and forth and maybe losing them, or loading stuff into their laptop. What we did with our people was to give many of them laptops, not with anything on them, but with the Go to My PC login. So if the laptop is stolen, there's no data on the laptop. All we have to do is come into the main server, disconnect, Go to My PC for that laptop. It it was a very secure way of communicating. And because of my history in the Marine Corps and in signals intelligence, I'm all about security of data. So we already had that going, we already had that running. On March 23rd, when we realized what was coming, given the news and everything else, a couple of my staff members, our support staff, went out and pretty much bought every camera they could get their hands on, bought a bunch of tripods, bought a bunch of ring lights, and we ended up making sure that we were setting people up to work from home, especially the people that we knew had comorbidities, that were older, that had health issues. We knew we were probably going to be moving them out of the office. And sure enough, by Friday of the next week, we could not have them in the office. So we got them set up with televisions for monitors at their houses and with full computers, not just the laptop, because a laptop you're hunched over and typing like that. We wanted people to be comfortable in their homes and have access to the same kind of information, the same kind of ergonomic comfort, that is the word, comfort, that they had when they were working in the office, that they still have in the office. So we were conditioned for this. We were also conditioned for this because we have, for many years, served, actually for my entire practice, we've served a lot of military clients, and they tend to be deployed all over the world. And as part of that, we also ended up with developing a clientele of people who are working in various locations all over the world. Oil company contractors, drilling rig managers, stuff like that. These people need to be able to communicate with us. And, a phone call is kind of okay compared to, the tech people had in 1900. But a phone call doesn't give you the verbal, it gives you the verbal. It doesn't give you the physical cues. You don't get to look at somebody's face and get to know them, which is an important part of family law. So we had been using GoToMeeting on a very limited basis prior to this COVID thing. What we did with both of these, with GoToMeeting and GoToMyPC, was just to amp up our usage. We were lucky with GoToMeeting as opposed to Zoom. GoToMeeting has very, very high security for its communication. So we never had the problems with people just appearing in our meetings as so many other people did, because GoToMeeting was a very, very good platform. And I think Zoom has cured that. Certainly they had to. But at the beginning, where we weren't using Skype, we weren't using FaceTime, we already had a platform in place, and that was GoToMeeting. So moving forward, the problems that we found with remote work, I think we also largely solved. And I want to talk about the two most significant problems that we found, that we've solved, and that we foresee going into the future, because I don't think we're ever going back. First, how do we function as a team? Our firm, we have a great dynamic in here. We have tremendous ability to go back and forth. If I'm stumped on something or thinking I want to go in this direction and I want somebody to play devil's advocate for me, I've always been able to just walk down the hall and get that. And we had also developed significant friendships. My partner, Patricia Lamas, was my attorney 30 years ago, 28, 29 years ago. It's a long time ago. So we have long-standing friendships, and this new remoteness was not going to apparently permit us to remain friends. So what we instituted was a daily meeting where everybody in the firm logged on, and we spent a half an hour talking to each other every day. This increased our video skills, this increased our communication skills, it increased our tech skills. We started having classes on how to share documents. The whole shoot and match. It became something that helped us stay together as a team. We still had access to one another's knowledge, and thank God we still had a core group of people who were in here in the office on a daily basis. We called them our COVID crew. We had COVID cake, which we decorated to look like COVID, to celebrate those die-hard few people who stayed in here to keep everything working so that we could be working remote. Those problems, the access to tech and the ability to remain part of a team, were big issues. The other problem that we found that we were able to solve had already been solved in part. We just had to increase our scanning. See, we had already been scanning documents. We have never been a 100% paperless office, and I am considering that now, but I don't think yet that the processes and the systems are in place for that with this firm, and probably not with most firms, because we're pretty technologically adept. So what we had to do was make sure that every item, no matter what it was, came in and was scanned. I had some poor staff members. It seems like all they were doing all day long was scanning things. But we were preparing for court appearances using scanned documents. We were preparing settlement agreements using scanned documents. We were doing our disclosure, doing scans. We were doing discovery with scans. So everything had to be scanned, and we had to have a good server to enable us to put that volume up into an accessible format or an accessible area, and it was on our server. It did not go into the cloud. So we have go to my PC, we're logging into our server, we've got people here just working their butts off getting everything scanned and named and into the proper files. And then we were using go to my PC while we're talking to clients to get this moving. So here's the problem. If you're in a remote location and you're logged on to go to my PC, if you log on to go to meeting, you're logging on to the go to meeting camera that's in your office, in the office, not the remote. So we solved that by getting some iPad Pros for our attorneys. And that means that if we need to do two remote things at once, we have the iPad, which permits us to be on camera be on camera with GoToMeeting, while we have behind it on our large computer the Go to My PC. So we found ways to solve this, and I'm sharing this now because this has become an integral part of our practice. We have flex days more regularly now. The last thing that I wanted to make sure that I could get out there, and I don't know if this is going to be helpful for clients or for attorneys more, we found a way to make sure that we could intercom one another no matter where we were located. We have a great phone guy, and our system is mixed. It's mixed VoIP, I think, is what you call it, and mixed hardline with the old form of the patch communications thing. This is really more my husband's area of expertise than mine. But what we did is now we have these phones. We have business phones with all of the extensions in everybody's house, and we can intercom one another, and we can dial out. We can dial out from our home, and it looks like we're calling from the business location. This has been perhaps the most problematic adaptation that we have made, because we've had to go through which server do I use and which router. Apparently the router or the modems have to have particular things to accommodate this, and it's relatively new technology. So because we don't want to just be, able to call people and talk to them remotely, we wanted to be able to function as though our office at our house is in the office, and we have been able to do that. It's been a tremendous collaboration of a lot of people. It's been a tremendous investment of time, and I want to shout out to the many young people that I have working here. I think a lot of millennials get a bad rap. We've always tried to make sure we have some young people on staff. I like the energy they bring in. I have some all of the people I have here work very hard. The young millennials that I have here are impressive. They are technologically savvy in a way that I think sometimes saved our firm during this past year. And I am looking forward to hopefully convincing one or two of them to go into law school. I think the practice of law has changed forever. There are solutions to these problems. I think that we have been fortunate in developing a lot of solutions, and I hope that you will find this, if you are an attorney listening, that you will find this discussion helpful to you, and that you will use some of the ideas that we have used here. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye-bye.